When I was a girl, I was procured and sent to work for a family. There was a boy, the boy's mother, and the boy's grandfather. They were coming from Africa. They were white as me. I thought they'd be black. And because of something the boy did, I never told what he did. The boy did something very dark. When I was very little. And then one day I asked someone in the circle, Imelda, Joaquin's mother. I asked Imelda, I said, is he the Antichrist? I was 13 years old. She didn't even blink. She said, no, but he will present the mark. And when you see him do that, the Antichrist will take the stage. So, now here we are, 40 years later. Boom, that boy is the star of the world. The boy's name then was El Elyon. It's changed over time. We're 40 years later. And I see that boy everywhere, and the world adores him, but he's the king of Babylon.
Welcome to the OG community, where curiosity is encouraged and questions are explored. Here, we look at hidden history, symbolism, world events, and mysteries that make people stop and think. Today's episode, we got another banger. Elon, we're calling you to the front. Your nanny has some very suspicious things to say about you. But before we get into this video, let's make sure everybody stopping through is hitting that subscribe button. And let's hype and hit that like button if you love these videos. Now y'all know the goal. It's to be the one, not the two. Well, without further ado, let's get into this video.
My mother told me that someone popped their head in when she was filling out the papers for my name. And I always remember thinking the mysterious stranger at Kaiser Hospital. And May said, Claire, name her Rosemary. It's the whole Rosemary's Baby, breeding the Antichrist. That's their agenda. Every time I ran away, somebody died. Somebody wonderful, not the losers in your life that drag you down, the people that, it's always somebody wonderful and amazing who loves God and has the means to escape. When I was 5 years old once in San Francisco, I remember being called back and I didn't go. And I got a very severe spanking, but I remember the thought of staying and facing the consequences and enjoying God and nature or going back to them. And I did that once when I was 5. And then I did it again when I was 13. I had horses and I would disappear into the woods. For days, I didn't even think about water or food. God took care of me. And then I would sneak off to church. And I got saved. And thank God people were loving and kind and accepted me just the way I was, didn't try to fix me. Because to throw me at the system would have just been to throw me back at the beast, because eventually they used the system too against me. But once I was in the system, they were in control of that too. Judges, social workers, mental health workers, etc. I was told it's either the babysitter or one of their experiments. And I said, okay, I'd rather be the babysitter. And my aunt dressed me really nice. Then I got all cleaned up. And I met with May. I was told not to embarrass my aunt or screw it up, to do whatever she asked me. I was told don't piss them off. They're the Bilderbergs, and I didn't know who that was. I was told they were the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. And I'll never forget those names because that's where they were told to me at is don't piss them off. So I met with May at a table and she said, would I watch Elion? And she told me right out, will you watch Elion while I go see Charlie Manson? I believe it's the first time we were ever alone together. And I don't know how long we were alone together, whether it was an hour or days. I believe it ran into days. He went into his mother's room and he got into a trunk, and I remember calling it her African trunk. Light had a lot of ancient stuff, artifacts. And he got out these little statues, these little rocks with faces, and they were scary looking little gods. They weren't friendly looking little characters. And he set them up in a certain way. And I know he was in there. He's all excited. He was so excited. And he was in his room and it was really dark in there. And he had blackout curtains. And he called me Moon, come play with my friends. Thing was happening. There was wind and sparks happening and things, and it was like shaking, like a little, not a big earthquake, but something you could tell the atmospheric pressure was changing. He did more than levitate. He wasn't levitating. He was being lifted, and he was excited. And I grabbed his little wrist. Now, I normally don't grab children by the wrist. I hold their hand. It's very important for me. And he was going in, and I went in too. And there were these huge ancient ones, I want to call them. And there was no bottom. And one grabbed me by the throat. And I closed my eyes. And I assumed it was going to eat me or consume me in some way. I don't know what people describe the sleep paralysis, where you're unable to get the words out. It was that times a million, the fear. And they moved slowly. They moved in a different time. And there was a golden glow to the place. It seemed like they were black stone gods. And they were huge. And I was a little tiny rag doll, and Elyon was right there too. And he was so happy. And I cried, Jesus. When I cried out, Jesus, it stopped. And we rolled out of his room, like with great force. And we were looking at each other. And he said, Moon, why are you not like my friends? And I said, well, I don't want to go in there, Elon. It's dark in there and I'm scared. And then he told me this ridiculous excuse for darkness that I've seen him since say. I never told the family. I told someone who's dead now, tragic accident in 18. I told him, so he can't be my witness now. When I asked Imelda, who was Light's right-hand man, to my understanding, and I remember asking, is he the Antichrist? You know, I knew there was Jesus, God's guy, and then the Antichrist was going to be the devil's guy, because I was told he was the chosen one. And she said, no, but he will present the mark of the beast. And when you see him do that, the Antichrist will be ready to take the stage, ready to step forward. And Elon will lead the great deception.
Elon, it's time to bring you up to the front to the office. It's some questions that need to be answered. And your nanny is telling us a very interesting story from when you were young. You were opening portals since a kid. Is that why you're so weird acting? Allegedly? Hmm? That's why you're such buddy with the big wigs. That's how you became such a renowned figure. You were pushed into this figure as the false prophet. This is crazy. This is crazy. This woman is exposing stuff that people have been trying to find out for a long time. We've been calling this person, that person, this person, that person. But we literally have a woman who talks about how she was basically was trafficked, and she had to become his nanny. Now, in the sense of her having to become his nanny, she was able to be there on the day-to-day, and she was young. So they trusted she wouldn't say nothing, or she would be in trouble. But now she's grown, and she's telling the story of Elion. That's another thing. His name ain't Elon, it's Elion. Is how it's pronounced. Listen, man. These people trying to put these things in motion, these evil people, these devil worshipers, these Baal worshipers, Baal worshipers. Like, come on. Come on now. We got to wake up and pay attention to what's going on. Because these people don't give a damn about us. They only care about their agenda. And their agenda is to take over the world. Y'all remember Pinky and the Brain? Every day, these two little rats got up telling us how to take over the world. That's what these people are doing. Every day, they get up and they're trying to figure out how to take over the world. How to create the narrative they want to be presented. Pinky and the Brain. It's crazy out here. We got to pay attention and protect ourselves. Stick together. That's the only way we're going to make it through these trying times. Is to stick together. Because some things are coming. The time is now. It's now. It is now. If you ain't involved, you better get involved. If you ain't woke, you better wake the fuck up. Because the time is now. And they playing and they putting everything in place. Pay attention.
I knew I was working for the devil. First it was exciting, but then it was scary. And I needed out. They blocked my way out like I was a rat. Like if you're looking down at a maze and the rat's going to find the right way out and you put a door down there, there's no way out. And every time they shocked me with death, there was a whole new future. Come on, let's get your passports and papers and effects in order. Oh, look, you're going by the wrong name. This is your real name. And now I'm like a new woman at 16 or 13 or whatever. You know, I got a new name. I'm working for new people. May gives me new clothes. I was supposed to travel with her. I would sabotage it. Somebody would die. I would be in shock. We would try again later. It has to be the right dates. It has to be the right place. But I was their little experiment and they used me. And half the time I didn't realize what I was being used for. But the last time Light called me back, it's very interesting. She sent me a book and I wouldn't touch it. I was afraid to touch it. I was afraid to let my hands touch that book. And it had Aragon history in it. It had ancient bloodlines. It was gold and gilded and it was leather. It was like, I don't know whose leather skin was on that book, but I wouldn't open it. I wouldn't touch it. My mother called me and said, Light wants you back and she sent you this book. I mean, it sounds crazy. I've literally gone to a dentist and had my fillings taken out. I don't want anything from them. Like, I don't know what they did to me. The 7-day Adventist dentist said, where did you get these fillings? I've never seen this fiber. It's not known to me. And I've been a doctor for, 40 years. I don't know what they did. And some of the dreams, now I'm wondering if they weren't real. A dream of a surgery. I don't know. I thought I was really actually pretty good about differentiating the difference between a dream, a vision, a childhood memory, you know? The word darkness doesn't freak me out. The word light freaks me out. Even when Jesus says, be the light of the world, or buy light bulbs, that word just is like, I guess if there's a trigger, that word made me shudder and turn into a fear ball for years just to hear the word light. You know, mommies say to me all the time, don't you think if little Anthony studies hard, he could be like Elon Musk? I mean, somebody literally said that to me recently, somebody I love. And I was like, oh, dear God, our generation really is there. And yet he's a lie. He's a false idol. He's the king of Babylon. I have to warn the world that maybe what he did to me is similar to what he has planned for the rest of the world, anybody that trusts him. But this is the truth. You guys are waking up. My mother, after turning 18, went to a Halloween party with a bunch of girls from Pacifica, California. And it was before anyone heard of acid. I was conceived in a sex ritual on Devil's Slide at the Egg in Pacifica, California. And that's called a moon child. My mother escaped the birth that they had planned, the Pacifica Castle, where my grandmother dropped her off under the guise of a home for wayward girls, but it was a wicked, evil Dracula castle that had all the pregnant girls there. My mother jumped the wall pregnant with me, and I was born a few weeks early at Kaiser Hospital in San Francisco, and Mae Musk showed up there.
People say that you're a racist. What is the motivation for doing that? Are you fomenting?
My partner is she's half Indian, and and I have 4 children with her. One of them was named after a famous Indian physicist. So I would say I'm not racist, and also if you look at the people that are employed at my companies, we have senior executives of all races. There's I don't think there's any racism there.
Are you anti-Muslim?
I am. I'm against having if people are coming to a country with antithetical views. I am against that. I'm against that. I'm against. I'm against rape and murder.
This dude tries to, and you could tell that he is trying to be very thoughtful about what he's saying. That's how you know this shit ain't genuine. This shit ain't genuine. He's not telling what he truly thinks. Because if he was telling what he truly thinks, that shit would be smooth and coming right off the tongue. He You only do that when you thinking. You trying to make sure that you don't say something that's gonna be perceived the wrong way. But that lets you know that it's not a genuine conversation. Dude is crazy. Let's get back into it. Elon, boy, things don't look good for you, brother.
I'm against the imposition of rules and laws that are contrary to what we've come to accept in the West. And I think it's a crying shame that the sort of traditional media, like you, don't recognize this.
I believe that if we lower the standards for what it takes to become a doctor.
You're saying if we lower the standards,
Yes.
but do you believe people are dying because the standards are being lowered?
I don't
Or have
think
been
that is
lowered?
yet an issue, but it could become an issue.
Okay. But the actual evidence in history shows the exact opposite. If you look at how minorities are treated by the medical system,
Oh,
most doctors now are white. And there are lots of mistakes in medicine. So you're saying that white doctors have bad medical care? I'm trying to understand your logic here when it comes to DEI, because there's no actual evidence of what you're saying.
No, I said, so if the standards, like let's say, I think that particular thing was referring to surgeons. Let's say a surgeon is asked to, a surgeon in training is asked to do a series of operations under the supervision of a senior surgeon, and they get a bunch of those operations wrong. If that happens, and yet they are still approved to be a surgeon, the probability that someone will die, I think, at some point is high.
Okay, I understand that, but that's a hypothetical. That doesn't mean it's happening.
I didn't say it's happening.
You didn't say it was happening.
I said it will. I said if we lower standards, people will die.
Now, this is the look of a man who came into the room thinking he was the smartest man in the room, and then Don Lemon put some goddamn Tadal on his ass, and now he like, oh well, yeah, it is, yeah, dude, what are you stuttering for? Yeah, yeah, it is. What? He asking you simple questions that you can't even got the answer because you want to create your own agenda. But then when the real questions get answered, you get tripped up. Untie your tongue.
But why respond to something or put something out there that has not happened? Because I could say,
Because I don't want it to happen. I think we don't want to lower standards.
Okay, if you look at the history of the medical industry, especially when it comes to Black Americans, it shows the exact opposite. If you look at the Tuskegee experiment and on, only 5% of doctors in America are Black. All of them are white. So are you saying that if the majority of doctors are white, are you saying that and there are still these inequities, right? And there's still mistakes. Are you blaming DEI for that?
No, I'm very basically saying that if we lower standards for what it takes to become a board-certified surgeon or, an oncologist or something where the kind of disease we're talking about, if you make a mistake, causes someone to die, then more people will die than if we don't lower the standards. Therefore, we should not lower the standards.
But why do you think they're lowering the standards for minority doctors or women doctors or?
That's what that's what that article suggested. Yes, at Duke University.
Okay.
So it goes from, you're a great mom, you should have more kids, we should have kids, my only limited resource is time, to then all of a sudden I'm pregnant, and he's saying that we need to use surrogates. He texted me, he said, we need to use surrogates so that we can have a legion of children before the apocalypse.
I have the direct quote here, but you tell me, this is on your phone,
yes.
So you might want to check it. To reach legion level before the apocalypse, we will need to use surrogates. What were you doing when you got that text?
Probably at an OB appointment.
And did you have any context for what that meant?
No.
And so what'd you say?
Laughing emoji.
Okay. What does he mean? It sounds like you...
And then I told him that I don't really believe in surrogacy outside of necessity. This works fine.
Was he serious? Was he not? I mean, it is documented.
Well, yeah,
his beliefs are documented on this.
He was definitely being serious. He was being serious in a lot of those beliefs. But for example, he had also asked me, he said that I should have a C-section because I should elect to have a C-section because it's better for the brain size, for the head size.
People like Dr. Stry, we prayed for you. Until today, they still pray for me when I say some of the controversial things that I say.
Wow.
Like when I say Elon Musk is not human, they still pray for me. Now, oh my God, somebody pray for me.
Wait, stop, hold on. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
I just dropped.
Help me, help us.
I just dropped that. Yeah, I don't believe.
Elon Musk just crossed a net worth that no human being has ever crossed, and he has bypassed every living human being by multiples in regards to net worth.
If with a few $1 billion, he can feed everybody in this world, why is he not feeding them? We think Elon Musk is altruistic. He wants to put a neural link in your brain so that the blind will see, the deaf will hear, the lame will walk, Jesus level miracles as he calls it. That guy is an epitome of the second beast in the book of Revelation. And the Bible says that he will deceive those that are on the earth. I like to read this because so that people don't think that this is my opinion. Anybody that's believing in Elon Musk needs to go pray and find out what, My question is, Elon Musk has the ability to put low orbit satellites in all nations. Where did he get that permission from?
The right.
Elon Musk is building robots. He's telling us that in this next few years, not long, maybe a year or two, there will be more robots on this earth than human beings. Elon Musk says that we're going to have so much that we're not going to need to work. We'll have about 90% unemployment because robots will do everything from changing diapers to flipping patients in the nursing home to driving cars to everything. And he says we're going to have universal high income. And people are like, wow, that's amazing. I don't have to work. The issue is, how are they going to give you that universal high income? That is the beast system. When the Bible says in Revelation 13 from 16 to 18 that there will come a time when that you're not going to be able to buy or sell without taking a mark on your hand or a neural link in your brain.
Well, let's talk about that, because I think one of the other things that worries people about the direction we're heading in, and I'm going to caricature it, but people think that the direction of the world is being shaped by a very small number of incredibly powerful people, and you are right at the top of that list.
So what else is? But is this different from the past?
I agree with you. I think it was like that.
when wasn't that the case?
It was ever thus, but
it was ever thus. Exactly.
It is as you've described very vividly. It's an incredibly rapid change. And so let's start with control of your company, which you definitely have now. After the IPO, you have 80% odd of voting shares, and as I understand it, you can only be removed by a vote of shares which you yourself control. So tell me if I'm wrong, but I think you can go
there's a few
crazy.
Companies in that bucket, by the way. The AI companies, like Google's in that bucket. Alphabet is controlled by Larry and Sergey.
But I think yours is more extreme. The inability
it's the same level. They have voting control of that company. Mark Zuckerberg has control of the matter, and Mark is trying very hard on the AI front, and I think probably will also have a leading AI. I think he released one last week. So I think he'll be one of the, Meta will be one of the AI companies.
But is it sensible for one person to have so much control over a company?
I really just need to make sure that I can focus on long-term. By long-term, I just mean in 5 to 10 years. So one of the challenges with being a public company is that are the sort of the pressure to have great results every single quarter, but and to not really invest in things that may only pay off in 5 to 10 years. And in the case of SpaceX, I want to extend consciousness beyond Earth and have a growing civilization on the moon, Mars, and elsewhere in the solar system. The return, I think ultimately this would have a very high return on investment, but in the short term, we'll be spending all this money on a moon base and a Mars base, and then people are like, I'm going to get all this pressure for like, well, you missed your earnings this quarter because you spent too much on Mars. I'm like, yes. By the way, that was in the S1 prospectus, and it's literally listed as a thing we will do. So we did. So, but they still get grumpy about these things, because they're like, well, you had whatever, you said your gross margin would be this, and it's actually slightly worse, and now we're going to punish you, and the short sellers all descend upon you, and you get a lot of pressure.
You're
in the public
going to get
market.
a lot of that.
Yeah, so I just need some way to sort of, say like, listen, guys, we're going to focus on 5 to 10 year or longer time horizon investments. This will depress our short-term earnings, but if you take a long-term view, and there are investors, we have many investors that do take a long-term view. In fact, I'm a big fan of the retail investors. In fact, I find our retail investors, on balance, they're very insightful and have very long-term views. But part of this comes, you say, what's the incentive structure? For portfolio managers, it's sort of understandable why they put so much pressure on quarterly earnings, because their compensation and and whether they get promoted or not is dependent on how their portfolio does, and they only have a few years to make these decisions, and then they're evaluated based on those decisions over the course of sometimes only a year or less, and so since they're under pressure to have immediate returns, they then put companies under pressure to have immediate returns. So once you understand the incentive structure, the behavior naturally follows.
What about, though, key man risk? I mean, what happens, heaven
I
forbid, but what happens if you get run over by the proverbial
you know?
bus tomorrow? It is, you have total control over these companies. Do you have a plan for how they would progress without you?
I think they would actually do very well for several years. And, there's a clear roadmap or space map, I should say, for SpaceX. And there's a roadmap, actually, for Tesla, literally. So I think there's, if you look at Apple after Steve Jobs, Steve Jobs had, he had a strategic vision and a bunch of products that he had ideas for, and Apple has done very well. But when you don't have a creative genius like Steve Jobs, what you miss, what Apple's missing are the incredible breakthrough products.
Yeah.
So they make amazing phones, great computers, but Apple hasn't come up with a sort of Steve Jobs level breakthrough product.
So by analogy, that's what you bring to all of your companies.
And she stayed here for 3 weeks, and we got on very, very well, her and I. In fact, she was now a grown woman of just on 30.
How old were you at that time?
So I was 70.
It's just 40 years difference, eh?
40 years difference.
Yeah, roughly.
When she came here for the 3 weeks, we spent a lot of time together, and we just got on terribly well. Then she left. A couple of months later, she called me and said she needs to see me. So she came, we sat out there, and she sat there and she showed me a mammogram, or not a mammogram.
Oh, yeah. It's a scan to see the baby.
Scan, right. She said, I'm pregnant. I'm not sure what I said exactly, but I'm pretty sure it's not me. So she said, it is you. So I said, well, I didn't really believe that, because that's standard story from women, The results eventually came back. I mean, she was 4.5 months pregnant, that it is 99.9% my child.
No wonder Elon Musk never hires a nanny for little X. There are 3 astonishing secrets lurking behind this. If you observe closely enough, you'll notice that whenever Elon Musk goes out with his young son X, there are only bodyguards by his side, and a nanny is nowhere to be seen. The following 3 reasons will shed light on this. As is well known, Elon Musk's eldest son, Xavier, cut off ties with him due to undergoing a gender reassignment surgery. After losing his eldest son, Musk became deeply attached to little X. He would be with little X all the time, regardless of the place or time, so there's no need for a nanny to look after the child. Secondly, before getting divorced from his ex-wife, Tallulah Riley, Riley wasn't comfortable entrusting the child to a nanny. As a result, she gave up her career and was willing to be a housewife. Such a family environment led Musk to develop the idea of taking care of the child by himself, and he has kept this habit even after the divorce. Finally, as a public figure, Musk's life is under intense public scrutiny. Hiring a nanny means an outsider would frequently enter the family life, which could have a certain impact on family privacy. He hopes to minimize external interference in his family life and protect his son from excessive public attention and unnecessary disturbances. Moreover, Musk believes that taking care of his son by himself can better strengthen the father-son bond and allow his son to grow up in the kind of environment he desires.
AI may exceed the sum of human intelligence in around 5 years.
In 5 years?
Roughly 5 years is my guess. There really won't be anything that AI can't do better than humans, apart from being human, perhaps.
At a more prosaic level, what will life be like?
The most likely outcome is an age of amazing abundance, where anyone can have anything they can think of. This may sound preposterous, but, well, here we are in 2026. Let's see where we stand in 2036. Now, of course, there are things that could derail this, like a massive global thermonuclear war or something like that. But assuming that there's not World War III, I think we're headed for an age of amazing abundance. So this is I guess, a message of optimism and excitement about the future. It would be an exercise in vanity for me to think that I would be controlling super genius AI that is vastly smarter than me. I think what we can and should try to do is to make sure that the AI has good values, that it cares about humanity, and that it wants us to be happy and prosper. I think it probably will be. What my biological neural net tells me is that the most important thing for AI safety is to be maximally truth-seeking and curious. If that's the case, I think it will foster humanity.
So let's unpack that. You're sure that humans will no longer be in control in 10 years' time?
I think it is unlikely, in the same way that if the difference in intelligence between AI and humans is vastly greater than the difference in intelligence between AI and chimpanzees, it's hard to imagine that the chimpanzees would be in charge.
I'm really
and
struck
we are
by this.
essentially an evolved form of chimpanzee. So it wasn't that long ago that we were swinging through the trees, eating bananas in the jungle. And we still eat bananas, by the way.
He had been DMing another influencer by the name of Tiffany Fong. She says, Elon DM'd me and offered for me to have a child. And, me, I'm holding our baby at this point. She has no idea. And I'm like, what is this guy's like DMs, like a Gatling gun of sperm? He's just like straight up offering it now. I had called one of our mutual friends, Elon and I's mutual friends. I'm like, what do I do? Do I even bring this up to him? She's like, yes, you should bring it up to him. And so I do. And next time I saw him, I said, I spoke to Isabel and I didn't even know if I should bring it up, but here it is. And he loses it. He gets really red in the face. He's like, why would you talk to Isabel? You shouldn't be telling anyone. If you want to talk to anybody, the only person you should talk to is your mother. He's angry and he starts furiously texting Tiffany Fong and saying, don't share anything. Like, I think he unfollows her.
And what specifically was he angry about? Just to make sure
she
I
had
understand.
shared communications, or I don't know, that there was no, and he storms off. He's all angry. He's going to his room and like slamming the door like a toddler. And so I laughed, and then he sent me a message. I'm sorry.
Why, once you were pregnant, why did that cause this change in him?
Because he got me.
What do you mean?
There I was. What am I going to do now? He had something that he knew meant more to me than anything in this world, and more than any woman in this world, is our kids.
He has a kind of innocence to him. What I mean by that is that he feels with incredible purity the emotion that he is feeling at the time, whatever that emotion is. He feels things very, very deeply. So, I've heard it said that he's cold and emotionless, and that could not be further from the truth. He is the most emotional person I know. One of the things I remember really early on is we'd gone to the cinema and we were watching some comedy, and Elon found the film so funny that he literally fell on the floor and was like rolling around, holding his tummy, laughing. And everyone else in the cinema was looking at us like, what the hell is going on over there? And I was sort of like, no, come on, get up off the floor. But he was just enraptured by what was on screen, and he was feeling it. And he feels things. And, if he feels anger, it's there. Anything, it goes deep. He told me all about his childhood growing up. I think his childhood shaped him in a lot of ways. I think he knows what it's like to be bottom of the pack, to be hurt by people that you should be able to trust. And obviously, I think that leaves scars.
You have a ketamine prescription.
Yeah.
What's that for?
Well, I mean, it's pretty private to ask somebody about a medical prescription, But I think it's something I'd say, like, there are times when I have sort of I don't know, like a negative chemical state in my brain, like depression, I guess, is or like depression that's not linked to any negative views, and then ketamine is helpful for getting one out of a negative frame of mind.
You're doing it under a doctor's care, right?
Yeah. Literally a prescription from an actual, a real doctor, not like,
Yeah, but do you feel like you ever abuse it?
And what's so crazy about this whole ketamine thing is, that's the same drug that Diddy was addicted to. He was saying that it opens up your mind in the music and it allows you to, think outside the bubble. Diddy. So is all of these big time guys on that ketamine? I mean, like, damn. Ketamine? They getting shit that you can't goddamn just get off the streets. Ketamine. Like, good Lord, dude. Diddy talked about that. He talked about it. Guess he wasn't the only one indulging. Oh, Lord. Man. When you get a certain amount of money, they all the same.
I don't think so. If you use too much ketamine, you can't really get work done. So I have a lot of work.
Do you ever worry that this may get in the way of your government contracts and clearances, and also and Wall Street as well?
Well, from a standpoint of Wall Street, what matters is execution. Are you building value for investors? Tesla is worth about as much as the rest of the car industry combined, from nothing. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was offered $40 million, which included an NDA and non-disparagement into eternity, which I declined. Part of this information is why, because I do believe him and his companies and everything that's being built to be incredibly consequential for the future of our country, the future of the country that my children will have to live in, the digital landscape that they'll have to live in. And I think there's a lot worse than being, middle class in America, and that's okay. I'm comfortable with that to keep my integrity, and at least when push came to shove, that I was able to turn that down. And I also think women need to speak up. I think a lot would not be allowed to happen if women stopped keeping a lot of secrets for men.
Do you think Elon is a good dad?
No, he hasn't been a good dad. The first child was too much with nannies and died in the care of a nanny. Now, what I'm saying, if Elon hears this, he's going to shoot me or something. But anyway, that's what I think. That's no good. They were too rich, too many nannies. Then he had 5 children with the same woman, 5 sons, all brought up. Each one had its own nanny. You followed me?
Mm-hmm.
When they got divorced, the nannies were 6 on this side and 6 on that side. So it was really a weird situation.
Just never really spent time with kids, hey?
No.
I would certainly slow down AI and robotics, but I can't. It just seems to be, it's advancing at a very rapid pace, whether I like it or not.
Is AI what keeps you up at night?
It used to be. At this point, I don't know. I wouldn't say there's nothing particularly keeping me up at night right now, except that. But if you say what do I wake up in nightmares? Oh, AI, yeah. I've had a lot of AI nightmares. I had AI nightmares many days in a row. What am I supposed to do about it?
Dude having all these AI nightmares, but he's pushing AI on everybody. You know what it is? These people know. They know that some of this shit that they trying to push onto the society is not good. But they also know it's going to be worth so much money. It's a race for resources. It's a race for resources. The richest people in this world are racing to get all the resources they can get underneath their umbrella. So what that means is they're willing to sacrifice humanity for a profit. Humanity, listen, humanity for a profit. They're willing to destroy the structure of humanity for a profit. It's crazy. Anybody else got a problem with that? I don't know. You talking about all the rioting and the marching people done. We are marching and rioting about the wrong shit. We need to be rioting and marching about the direction and the future of our country, the future and the direction of humanity that these people don't care about, because all they care about is profit. Because the way they see it is, if they don't get there first, somebody else will. So the integrity and the direction of the humanity's future, they don't care about. They'll deal with it when it comes, which is very sad.
I feel like this is kind of appropriate.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. I think that's fair to say.
Yes, because we talk about real issues, and we put a twist of humor on it so people can swallow the pill.
Yeah. And you can point to pretty much anything. And
yeah, any situation you're going through, from spaceships. I've been working this grave shift and I ain't made it. I wish I could buy me a spaceship and fly.
Listen, there's such a significant amount of capital that's needed to buy a rocket. And the number of people that really understand rocketry in the world is a very small number.
Well, I really started taking it seriously like in the 7th grade.
Well, it's a huge difference. It's a very difficult technical challenge.
No.
Well, I studied physics. But
it's not about, it's people that might be better programmers, but where I think I really won is I had the heart. And I feel like that's all you need.
Among other things. Right now, my time is split roughly evenly between Tesla and SpaceX.
Listen, you gotta speak whatever you say with conviction. I'm speaking exactly like how I spoke when I was broke, how I speak on an everyday basis, how we all speak.
Right.
Anything in life that you put your mind to, you can do, right?
That's probably my core skill.
So use that ability to maybe change the world.
Yeah, I would like to at some point, but it's I've got my kids as well, and
you got to take advantage of this. The world is your oyster.
Sure,
I'm just a genius in training.
Well, success for me for Tesla is that we've accelerated the advent of electric cars by at least 5 years. So that's
drug dealing just to get by, stack your money till it gets sky high. We wasn't supposed to make it past 25. Jokes on you, we still alive. Throw your hands up.
You have said, and others have as well, have alleged that there was something shady that went on during the election, that perhaps Elon Musk had some effect on the outcome of the 2024 election. Now, I have seen no evidence of that. You possibly have evidence of that. Why are you alleging that? And can I see the text?
You can see the text. I'm only telling people what Elon told me. Whether he's being a schizophrenic, I don't know, but this is what he said, and he seems rather confident that he had some sort of impact in the election. I always have to search lasers.
You just as you're looking for that.
I found it.
You found it. Okay.
So he goes, this is October. Just don't read my pick-me-isms.
I'm not going to do that.
October 5th, 2024, and he says.
October 5, 2024, the one with the heart on it.
Yes.
Okay.
So he's saying, I'm feeling more optimistic after tonight.
I'm gonna verify this, okay? Because I'm gonna look on my phone. I don't know if we have the same cell phone number for him. I'm gonna see.
Yes.
And you can. I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
Yes.
Okay. So this is what I have. Let's see. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Am I verifying? Look at mobile on mine and yours. Okay. So this looks legit. You have not showed these to you haven't put them on camera, right?
No.
You wouldn't do that.
No.
Okay, let's see. Can I read them?
Yes.
I'm feeling more optimistic after tonight. And then you hearted it, right? And tomorrow we unleash the anomaly in the matrix. And then you did a 2 exclamation points. And then, I don't know what that, and then you said who, and then he said haha?
Yeah.
Okay. This is not something on the chessboard, so they will be quite surprised. And then you hearted that. And this is on October 5th of 2024. And he said, lasers from space. And then you said, haha, finally a focus on the Jewish vote. You meant Jewish space lasers
Yeah,
from Marjorie Taylor Greene?
I was making a Marjorie Taylor Greene joke.
I have over 10,000 lasers in space right now, he said to you. And then...
So he doubles down and he quantifies.
Yeah. If your space lasers seriously end up being the anomaly in the Matrix...
Okay, that one's so cringe.
Let me see. Matrix that takes back America, I will be convinced that...
It's so cringe. I can't.
Do you mind if I read it?
Yes, I do. I'm so embarrassed with myself. I was like, so pick me.
Let me read it. Okay. If your space lasers seriously end up being the anomaly in the Matrix that takes back America, I will be convinced that God is maximizing the simulation to be the most badass sci-fi drama / comedy ever written. I would ask more questions, but will keep myself from getting deposed. Proud of you. And then he said, wise, with a smiley face.
And a hundo emoji.
And a 100, yeah, and a 100
Okay, all right,
emoji.
we're the humiliation ritual. It's done. Ugh.
What do you think? What did he mean by lasers? What do you think
That's a great question.
What do you think that round of texts means?
It's a great question for him in front of Congress, but I also know that combined with my conversations with his employees, the data he sent me from America PAC before the election, the real-time Delta vote metrics he had, I'm unaware of what inputs create those outputs that are so real-time. Him telling me that he knew hours ago, him leaving Mar-a-Lago hours early. He told me over text, I knew hours ago. He said over text, my team has the best real-time data. Well, how do you have it?
Did you see the clip from Joe Rogan where he talks about, he sees Elon at a party?
It's been brought to my attention.
Here it is.
Apparently, Elon created an app and he knew who won 4 hours before the results. So as the results were coming in, 4 hours before they called it, Dana White told me Elon was like, I'm leaving, it's over, Donald won. He just fucking somehow or another.
I'm going to go back into my pod and evaporate.
I don't know what he's getting, where he's pulling his data from, but he had like the most accurate data in terms of the rural states hadn't put their results in yet, but yet Trump was ahead in these states. Kamala's never going to win those states, so tabulated that and like put it all together. I don't know how he did it.
That's I was there.
What do you think?
I was there. I watched him leave, and then he texted me and said, I knew hours ago. My team has the best real-time data.
From?
That's a great question.
Do you think that he did something?
What I know is that afterwards, he said that Trump wouldn't have won without him. And he had very precise numbers of what the outcome of the House would have been had he not intervened.
What do you mean by intervened?
Had he not been involved, that Trump wouldn't have won without him.
Does that go? Sorry.
I think there should be questions when someone has so much data and such incredible technology. Why are we not asking what the fuck they're doing with it? Are you using it for elections? Like, we don't have jurisdiction over space data or space technology. That's ridiculous.
You know it's all coming back to me now, because during my interview with him, I asked him about, are you going to donate to a political candidate? Anybody going to support anyone in the election? How much money, And he said, not at this point.
He was lying. He was lying because at that point he was already planning to support Trump. And I spoke about this because he comes out during the Butler assassination attempt and he tells the world, this is the moment that I'm going to support Trump. I have no choice. But that wasn't true because he had told me a long time before that he was going to support Trump. He had texted me saying, I can't be president, but I can help Trump win and I will. And he said he has, half a dozen initiatives of significance into him. that was motivating him.
Yeah, what were the motivating factors for him to help her life?
In his words, the half a dozen initiatives of significance, the investigations into him. Those were his words.
The investigations into Elon Musk.
That I still have.
You have a text message for that?
I do.
Can I see it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you guys for joining your boy for another banger. I told you, we here at the OG community, we explore and discuss everything. Deep diving into Elon Musk and what he got going on for our future. Until the next video, peace and love.